It's Tuesday, January 28th, and this is now on HNN.
We basically just need the best public health people we have in the world working on this right now.
As concerns grow over a deadly China virus, the U.S. expands passenger screenings to 20 airports. That includes DKI.
And this just in, a fire breaks out at an Eva Beach home. Plus,
I cry so much.
The woman who was stabbed by the suspect in the Diamond Head rampage recalls the attack.
And I hear like a last gasp. Then I knew she was dead.
It was a pretty devastating accident scene.
I'm Chris Martinez outside the Staples Center in Los Angeles, where fans continue to gather to remember Kobe Bryant.
these stories, plus we'll update you on a bizarre missing children's case out of Idaho that now has ties to the Garden Isle. Coming up on This Is Now. Hey guys, thanks for watching This Is Now. I'm your director-producer, Jonathan, alongside Ashley here. We weren't here yesterday. We were on a special assignment, and we're going to show you that story coming up regarding that missing children's case. We were on the Garden Isle yesterday for quite some time. But we want to begin today. There's been some new developments that impact here at home regarding that virus that everyone is talking about.
Right, so Daniel K. Inouye International Airport is one of 20 airports where the U.S. government is expanding passenger screenings after growing concerns over that new virus. Now, 5 cases have been confirmed in the U.S., and the government is evacuating Americans still stranded in the quarantine city of Wuhan. Here's Hillary Lane.
Wearing full protective gear, authorities on the border of China's Hubei province are manning checkpoints. After an ID and temperature check, anyone with a fever is told to go to the hospital immediately. As the death toll goes above 100, the city of Wuhan is closer to finishing the construction of 2 new hospitals.
Today's briefing.
In the U.S., health officials are warning against any non-essential travel to China and have increased the number of screening sites from 5 U.S. airports to 20 U.S. airports and border crossings. Talks are also underway to get U.S. and World Health Organization officials on the front lines, working alongside Chinese officials.
This is a major issue, major public health issue, and we basically just need the best public health people we have in the world working on this right now.
As for the U.S. nationals stuck in Wuhan, the State Department has chartered a flight to evacuate about 230 diplomats and U.S. citizens, especially those at greatest risk. The plane is set to leave Wednesday morning from China, headed for Ontario, California. Health officials say physicians will be on the flight and passengers will be screened and monitored constantly. Wisconsin father Sam Roth hopes his wife and 2 small children get on board.
We've got a 10-month-old, we've got a 5-year-old. They're susceptible.
U.S. health officials say they have developed a rapid test for diagnosing patients, and they are working to develop a vaccine. Hillary Lane, CBS News, New York.
All right, we got some news just into our newsroom, some new video we want to show you.
The Red Cross is assisting residents after flames engulfed their Eva Beach home this morning. It happened just after 9 on Kaunoa Street. HFD says 5 people live at the home, and fire crews quickly extinguished the blaze and no injuries were reported.
All right, in this video, we see what it looks like their garage area there. It's completely gutted, devastated. There's a car parked inside, also almost seems to be melted away. For our podcast listeners, I just want to describe this for you. The roof, there's some roof damage there. Of course, we're going to keep following this. We'll get you even more details coming up on our evening newscast here at HNN. All right, moving on to other news.
Now to the latest on the tragedy at Diamond Head. There will be a candlelight vigil tonight for Officer Kalike Kalama. It starts at 6 p.m. at Sandy Beach. Meantime, we're hearing from the woman who survived the deadly rampage. Kiahi Tucker has the exclusive interview.
I cry so much and I cry so much, but I still, I can close my eyes and I still feel her hands going. She would do it like that over my hair and my back. Unfortunately, I will never imagine that will be the last time I see her.
Gisela Riccardi King is recalling her last embrace with Lois Kane, a long and tearful hug in the upstairs hallway of their shared home on Hibiscus Drive. She says that night she dreamt of the man Lois allowed to live rent-free in the downstairs unit, Jerry Yarda Hanel. Gisela woke up in a sweat.
I have the urge to find her. I don't know why.
She found Yarda in the laundry room. but says he would not let her in.
And I says, is Lois okay, Yarda? And I hear like a last gasp. Then I knew she was there. And I started to call 911.
She says Yarda saw her calling police and attacked her with a gardening tool.
And I begged him, please, Yarda, I have a son, but he will not let it go. It was with all his might trying to plant that on me, and he will go for my chest or my here. And I was trying to avoid because I was like, make myself like that to cover. And remember that he has his two hands on my head and smashed my head against the ground.
Neighbors heard her screaming, chased Yarda away, dragged Gisela up the driveway and made a tourniquet for her leg. Bleeding from a dozen wounds, Gisela felt she might pass out and told people to get her husband David and their 7-year-old son Jack out of the house. Then the police arrived.
And then we hear the shot, and I see the people, and I see everybody goes like, and like freeze.
Then more shots rang out. With an active shooter on the loose, the ambulance couldn't drive up the street. Neighbors dragged Gisela around the block. Then, as paramedics worked to stop her bleeding, Officer Kaulike Kalama was brought to that same ambulance with a fatal gunshot wound.
The police men died right at my footstep. They tried to revive him. I knew it was bad because they say, stay with me. By this point, I was telling my husband what to do with our son in case I die.
Chaos. Turns out Gisela's son Jack ended up at a neighbor's house. A home surveillance camera shows he and two friends escaping from a window, first during the gunshots, then during the fire. Gisela eventually made it to the same hospital where officers Tiffany Enriquez and Kaulike Kalama had just been pronounced dead.
And I hear all these families, coming into the ER and crying, and all the officers. This was a tragedy for all of us. In different ways,
4 lives lost, 7 homes destroyed, a neighborhood changed forever.
This part, it was the front room. That was Jack's room.
Gisela says so far she has not thought much about Yarda. Her mind is all filled up with grief for the fallen officers and Lois.
She loves Halloween. She did a great decoration in her sister. Or she will come in the kitchen and stand up next to me.
As reality sinks in, Gisela admits her family is broke. She was a babysitter and kept her savings in her bedroom, $50,000 in cash, up in flames. As the healing begins, a lesson in tragedy and in strength.
Our son says, how dare Yarda to do that to us? And I'm told that he shouldn't allow that. I mean, the last thing we want is to fill our heart with hate. I mean, we don't need that. I'm surrounded by love. I will not make it alone without this community.
And that was Keahi Tucker reporting. Now, there are so many ways that you can support the families of the fallen officers. Today, all profits from dine-in meals served at 5 big city diner locations on Oahu will be donated to the Memorial Fund to assist the families of Tiffany Enriquez and Kaulike Kalama. Diners must print out this flyer and present it with their check. The locations are Kaimuki, Kailua, Windward Mall, Pearl Ridge, and Waipio. All the details are up on our website.
All right, we want to stay with our story. That's because our own Mahealani Richardson is at the scene, or actually at an event, a very special event for first responders. They're coming together in the wake of this Diamond Head tragedy. She literally filed this report moments ago. Let's check in with her.
Aloha everyone, I'm here at La Pietra Hawaii School for Girls, where the school has organized a gathering of gratitude for the Honolulu Fire Department, for the police department, for EMS, the American Red Cross, and for the community 9 days after the Diamond Head tragedy, where 2 police officers and a landlord were killed and another woman was stabbed. This event was created so that everyone could come together to say thank you and to start healing and to start a peaceful process forward. Tonight, we'll hear from an EMS paramedic who was one of the first responders on scene, and he had to provide treatment for the woman who was stabbed and the 2 police officers. He has a compelling story. We will hear his emotional story tonight at 5, 6, and 10, and on our website, HawaiiNewsNow.com. I'm Mahealani Richardson reporting from Diamond Head.
All right, we got some breaking news to get to out of the Atlantic.
A magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck a short time ago about 80 miles from Jamaica, shaking people in the Caribbean and as far away as Miami. As the swaying and shaking became more violent, most people started to run. The ones who stayed behind hid under their desks. A tsunami of about half a foot was recorded in the Cayman Islands, but no tsunami was observed in Jamaica or the Dominican Republic. A tsunami threat alert has since been lifted.
Now, the death of Kobe Bryant is still hitting fans and people all around the world. I mean, here in our newsroom, I was just eavesdropping outside there, and I heard some of our coworkers saying how surprised they were how this hit them, and they actually had to take a little time for themselves yesterday to reflect and step away from it all and just take a moment. This guy's been with so many of us, many millennials, their whole life. I mean, he's only 41. I'll be honest, I'm 40, and I feel like he's been doing, for as long as I've watched basketball, I think I remember him there, but it wasn't. He's sort of like this generation's Jordan, is the way I heard him described outside.
Absolutely, right. And the tributes for him continue to pour in across the world following his tragic death Sunday in a helicopter crash. Now, investigators are trying to figure out what caused the accident that killed the NBA legend and 8 others, but that work may take months. Here's Chris Martinez.
Recovery efforts at the crash site in Calabasas are expected to take several days. Debris is scattered in rough terrain across about 600 feet.
It was a pretty devastating accident scene.
NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others died when their chopper went down in dense fog Sunday morning. NTSB investigators are on the scene, asking the public for any photos of weather in the area at the time of the crash.
We're not just focusing on weather here, though. We look at man, machine, and the environment, and weather is just a small portion of that.
The Sikorsky S-76 chopper did not have a black box, but investigators are scouring the crash site looking for electronics, including the pilot's iPad and victims' smartphones, that might reveal whether the chopper was having mechanical problems. Christina Mauser was one of the passengers.
Such an emotional loss.
The mother of 3 coached at Bryant's Youth Academy.
Most of us are still trying to wrap our heads around the whole thing.
While the investigation moves forward, Kobe Bryant fans are paying tribute here at the Staples Center, where the Lakers icon played since the arena opened.
Just look at it, man. Just one life impacts so many people, from so many different areas, especially LA, so many different people, so many different neighborhoods.
Current Lakers superstar LeBron James is struggling with the sudden loss of his friend. He wrote on Instagram, "Sitting here trying to write something for this post, but every time I try, I begin crying again. Just thinking about you, niece Gigi, and the friendship, bond, brotherhood we had." The Lakers were scheduled to play at home against the Clippers tonight, but the game has been postponed. The NBA says it's just too soon to play. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Of course, we're going to stay with that story. Of course, have the latest coming up on our evening editions of HNN and on our network newscasts that air on CBS and NBC. You know what? Let's move on to another national story that now has ties to here at home. This is why we weren't on the air yesterday. We were sent to the Garden Isle to look for this missing couple.
Right. So Kauai police are assisting the FBI and mainland investigators in a bizarre missing children's case out of Idaho. Now, the children's mother and her new husband have been staying on the Garden Island, unwilling to cooperate with authorities. We went to Kauai to report on this yesterday, and in this piece, we're going to hear from Kauai prosecutor Justin Kohler and Garrett Hoddle. He is a reporter from KMVT in Twin Falls, Idaho, who has been following this story from the beginning.
The paternal grandparents sort of allude that Chad Daybell and Lori were somewhat infatuated with sort of doomsday prophecies, what they call a doomsday cult, and they were involved in podcasts together that sort of, I would say, romanticized like the end of days.
It's unknown how long Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell have been on island, but Kauai police executed a search warrant Sunday in the parking lot here at the Kauai Beach Resort, and the couple's rental car was also seized.
Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids? No comment?
An Idaho reporter was at the resort when police caught up with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell on Sunday.
They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii?
A tow truck took their black SUV into police impoundment.
Are your children still alive?
The couple, who left their home in Rexburg, Idaho in November, has been splitting their time between the resort and a townhouse in Princeville on Kauai's North Shore.
They've been on Kauai for some time that we're aware of, and the mother has spent time here over the years, both here and I think also other islands.
The investigation is being led by the Rexburg Police Department. Officials say the couple has not been arrested and there are no criminal charges at this time. Back in September, 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow mysteriously disappeared. Their mother and her new husband did not report them missing and have not given authorities and other family members any information about the kids' whereabouts.
You have the power to end this.
Earlier this month, Lori Vallow's older son posted a plea to his mother on YouTube, urging her to say what happened to his siblings.
You have an opportunity to put this all to rest.
Chad, where are Lori's kids?
On Saturday, Kauai police also served Lori Vallow with an order of petition filed by authorities in Idaho on behalf of the children, which means she has 5 days from being served to physically produce the kids to Idaho police or the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare. If she doesn't do so by Thursday, she may be subject to civil or criminal contempt.
It's one of the most unusual situations I've ever heard of in my career in law enforcement.
What happened to Tammy, Chad?
Police are also investigating the deaths of their former spouses. Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell, was found dead in their home in October. He married Lori Vallow just 2 weeks later. It was initially said that Tammy Daybell died from natural causes, but the case has since been reclassified as suspicious. Court records show Lori Vallow's previous husband, Charles Vallow, had filed for divorce, expressing his concerns over what he called his wife's doomsday and cult-like beliefs.
Guy just dropped the bat, he says he shoots him.
Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori Vallow's brother back in July in Arizona. And her husband, before that, died of an apparent heart attack in 2018. Authorities say there is no evidence that the children are or were ever in Hawaii. The grandparents of J.J. Vallow are offering a $20,000 reward to help find the missing children.
All right, we know this is a very complicated story. That's why we wanted to bring in this timeline family tree from EastIdahoNews.com. They're a news source that's sort of been out in front of this story, been following it since the beginning. The reporter you saw in that piece that was chasing down Chad and Lori, asking all those tough questions, that's where this comes from. He works for EastIdahoNews.com. So let's get to this family tree. You see there at the top, there's Lori. She has been married 5 times. So if we go over to the first section, that's in yellow, they don't even know this guy's name. That was her first husband. They were married back in 1992, since divorce. Then she got remarried to William. That's her second husband. That's who she had Kobe with. That's who you saw in that video making the YouTube plea for his mom to bring an end to this tragedy. You saw him there just emotionally pleading to his mom in that YouTube video. Up next, after they divorced, William and Lori divorced, she married Joseph Ryan. That's Taylor's dad. They were married in 2001. He is since deceased, as we reported just now. Ashley just mentioned that. We move over to this black area, shaded in black. That's when her fourth husband came along. That's Charles Vallow. They married in 2006. Their marriage ended last year, and he died. That was that shooting that Ashley also mentioned in the report. You saw the 911 tapes there. They had adopted J.J. Vallow. He's the other missing child, along with Taylor. If you look at this picture over there in this black section also, that's Kay and Larry. They're the grandparents. They're the ones offering the reward. Now, if we move over to her fifth husband, that's Chad. That's who you see here in the white. That's who we're currently talking about. They were just married last year after the death of his wife. And that's who you see here. That's Tammy. That's the deceased woman that initially was considered natural causes, and now there's a lot more investigating going on into what caused her death. So as you can see, a very complicated story. I'd have to say this website, EastIdahoNews.com, really lays out a timeline, get a better understanding of what exactly is going on here and all the dynamics. Again, I didn't even go fully down the timeline of the family tree. There's much more to it. You can check it out there.
Definitely a complicated story, but we will bring you all the latest developments on that as they become available. Now to other news here at home. The man in charge of Honolulu's rail project, Andrew Robbins, was on Sunrise this morning to give an update on the status of the work. We wanted to share that interview with you because there's a lot that needs to be done before the guideway can be built here in town. Let's take a look.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Always good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, you've been in office about 2.5 years. You made a really big announcement earlier this month that you're hoping that part of the rail would actually run by October of this year. Is that still on track?
Yes. Well, HART's responsibility, as you know, is to design, construct, and test, and then make ready for operations. So ready to ride, as we say. So that's what we're targeting for October. Now it's really up to the city to determine when to actually start operations. Right now they're looking at a December date. They have to confer with the city council on that. So I felt it was important for HART to be ready at least 40, 50 days ahead of that time to ensure that we can make that date.
I was interested in knowing exactly when your responsibility ends and the city transportation services begins, because I know the city is responsible ultimately for the safety of it, but you have to test it for safety as well. So kind of where does that line fall?
Well, sort of our responsibility again is to deliver the project, and that culminates with a big overall test, and then we have to obtain safety certification, and the Hawaii Department of Transportation is involved in that. They do a safety oversight on behalf of the federal government, so we work very closely with them. But I want to emphasize that we work very closely with the city. So all the readiness, activation as we call it, preparing for the operations. We have teams of people at HART and at the city, as well as HDOT and others that are all working together to make this project happen.
All right, so it may be unfortunate that we're right near Dillingham and Waikimilo here, so we see the construction work on a regular basis,
Right.
and it's pretty brutal right now, traveling through this area. The roads are terrible, and right now you are apparently behind schedule and looking to hire another contractor to help move those utilities. Will that delay you further? Because don't you have to put that out to bid?
Well, what we're doing right now, and we already have a contract, is for what we call our city center utilities work. So there's a massive number of utilities either under the road on Dillingham or above with the high voltage lines.
Right.
So the majority of those lines, if not all of them, have to come down. We're going to bury those, which I would argue is good for the community to get those undergrounded. But we essentially have to move these utilities out of the way so that we can build our guideway and stations. So that's a massive amount of work. We've actually been working for a number of years. We've acquired properties along the route, and we do work right now, particularly at night. Some of the work that I saw this morning is not really our work, it's other work going on. But we are working at night, and now what we've determined, because we do have to move faster on this work, so we're going to go day and night, and we have to work very closely with the city to obtain all the required permits to make that happen.
I know you don't want it delayed, but then you have to deal with trying to balance that with the community. What is that going to mean for people who have to travel through here frequently? Because the traffic is already pretty bad.
Right. Well, we have some absolutes that we have to meet, and the city is, of course, making sure that we meet the certain requirements. One of them is, of course, safety. The safety of the community is paramount. There's a lot of people that walk in this community, a lot of children, and this is going to be a lot of construction activity. So we're working very closely with HPD to make sure that we have special duty officers on duty, ensuring the safety of both pedestrians and motorists. It's also very important to keep the buses operating as close to schedule as possible. And then finally, we're committed to having 24/7 access to all the businesses and residences along the route. And on Dillingham, there's a number of businesses and residences that we have to make sure can always get their customers in and out. So.
By adding, though, that daytime, work, is that going to increase the cost? And will you be able to get back up to speed if you do that?
Well, it's never going to, the cost will always be better if we work faster. And
right.
So that's why we're going to both day and night work to get our work done as expeditiously as possible. So we're looking at a pace of some 60 feet a day to move these utilities.
Oh, wow.
And we want to get ready for the P3 contractor who's going to come in and build the guideway and stations. So we have to sort of clear the path so that they can come in and do a very efficient construction activity once they get started.
Just real quick, an update on the FDC funding, the last half of that $1.55 billion. Is that all set? Because I know we've gotten half of it.
Well, there were a couple of conditions, if you will, that the federal government put on us. One was to get a recovery plan approved, which we did last year.
Okay.
So that was a huge milestone for us to get that done. And the other one now is that they want to see the bids come in for the city center guideway and stations, the P3. So we expect those bids now to be in the April timeframe. And the federal government wants to make sure that those bids are sort of in line with our budget, which is, quite reasonable. So once that happens, then we would see the federal funding start to flow again into the project.
Oh, okay. So final leg. I know a lot of people are curious about this. So you have a train day coming up.
Yes.
What is that about?
Well, we've done a number of these community days at our rail operations center where people could come in and see the trains. For the very first time on February 8th, starting at 10 o'clock, we're going to open up a station. It's our Halaulani station at Leeward Community College. So for the very first time, people can park at LCC, enter one of the train stations, go up to the platform and actually get on a train. We can't move the train for safety reasons, but the public can come and really experience the whole atmosphere of a station, how to board a train, where the ticketing machines will be. So we're very excited by that. So I invite everybody to bring your families, February 8th, 10 o'clock.
All right, sounds good. Andrew Robbins, thanks for being here today.
Thank you very much.
And this just in from the Department of Transportation. 2 lanes are closed on the Pali Highway, the Honolulu-bound lanes, in the vicinity of Country Club Road for gas leak repairs. Motorists are being advised to use traffic apps and map out the best route to get to their destination. Again, 2 lanes are closed on the Pali Highway, Honolulu-bound lanes for gas leak repairs.
Awesome, and thanks for that update. We're going to stay updating you there with that traffic situation. To sign up for our HNN digital alerts, you can just do that on our app, and we will give you all that traffic information or any other that might come your way. Let's switch over to weather. Let's take a live look outside. The time now here in the islands is 12:22. We just checked. The temperature is 78 degrees outside. Sort of chilly for noontime. Let's get a check with Guy of what the weather is going to be like for the rest of the week. Here's Guy.
How's it on this Tuesday? I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. Fairly clear skies over the state for the next couple of days, although there's some high clouds approaching from the southwest. We are more concerned with this front. It's going to drop in sometime Thursday night and linger around the state all the way through Saturday with a few windward and Mauka showers. We're not expecting a washout. Now this morning we have a few windward and Mauka showers, mainly for Maui County and for the Big Island's windward sides, but rainfall totals will be basically insignificant. Now the winds are going to be soft and scrambled today, tomorrow, and Thursday. In fact, a bull ahead for a few areas, and those winds won't get much stronger than 10 to 15 today. That will lead to some afternoon cloud buildups, perhaps a few afternoon showers for a handful of spots. Otherwise, you can expect lots of sunshine, especially early in the day. High temperatures running into the low 80s. Now, as far as the surf, it's an excellent day to surf, especially early because of the dropping swell. This might be a little bit generous. Let's call it 6 to 8 up in the country on the way down, 3 to 5 on the west shore on the way down. These are National Weather Service numbers. Another significant swell due in tomorrow night and again on Friday, and that could lead to high surf alerts being posted again. So very calm weather with light winds all the way through Thursday. And then we're watching that front drop in starting on Thursday with a few more showers Friday and Saturday, as well as increasing trade winds. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
All right, let's get to some trending news right now.
So Barbie dolls are known for makeovers, but this time the toys are evolving to better reflect the children who play with them. Barbie says a new release of toys is the brand's, quote, most diverse doll line yet. Some of the new Barbies have rainbow-colored hair, others have no hair at all. Some have wheelchairs or prosthetic limbs, and they come in a variety of skin tones. Mattel has been criticized in the past for its unrealistic portrayal of beauty.
Do you see Surfer Ken there?
Surfer
He's right there
Ken?
in the tie-dye.
There he is.
Oh, I know. Very cool though. People come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and so should Barbie.
Absolutely, I
For
love
sure.
it.
And they're all different heights too. If you look, they're at different
Mhm.
heights as well. Very cool story, and I hope they take off. I hope they become popular. Very cool. All right, speaking of popular, one of the most popular, most trending stories of last year. Unfortunately, we're talking about a chicken sandwich here.
Right, so McDonald's is drawing new battle lines in the fast food
dun.
chicken sandwich wars. The chain is adding fried chicken sandwiches to its breakfast menu. Now, starting Monday, February 3rd, customers across the country will be able to get the Chicken McGriddle and a McChicken biscuit sandwich. The new offerings put the classic crispy McChicken in between either the sweet maple griddle cakes or a buttered biscuit, and they're available for only a limited time.
Okay. I know you have recently become a chicken sandwich expert.
You could say that.
You visited a fellow podcaster in town,
Uh-huh.
and you guys held a chicken sandwich contest. What went on there?
So it was local restaurants, which was
Okay.
great. I haven't had the Popeyes chicken sandwich yet because I think our local guys do it so much better. But it was a contest between Smith & King's, Square Barrels, and Earl. All fantastic places that I love. And it was a blind taste test. I was the only one who picked Earl.
I see you said it was like a more refined chicken sandwich.
It was it was the only one I ate the entire thing of.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You ate the entire thing after
I
trying
sure
to?
did.
Okay, you got yourself a chicken sandwich fan here.
But Square Barrels ended up winning that.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah,
It's really
they
good.
They did a great job
yeah,
too.
I went there last week actually. Really
Mhm.
good stuff. And about the chicken sandwich from McDonald's, the only thing I'd never had a McGriddle before until about 3 months ago. And I tried it, loved it, and then I went home and looked at the calorie count.
You can't do that,
I know,
Jonathan.
I'll never have one again, unfortunately.
What
but
was
it was
it?
delicious.
Do you remember?
It was like the sausage McGriddle, and it was just that sweet and savory. I was like, this is legit. But
How many calories?
I can't remember, but it was, for as little as it was a shocking amount of calories,
Right.
but it tasted so good.
Yeah, you
and
can't
that's
do
what
that.
McDonald's is about. It's about tasting good. It's not necessarily
Mhm.
about the calorie count. All right, guys, we're going to give you a look outside from our digital center. We're looking at a live video feed towards Diamond Head on a beautiful day. Still 78 degrees out there. We're going to leave you now. We'll be back here tomorrow. Bye, guys.